Good evening, and welcome to Spooky Tales for Edna. I suppose when you think of grandmothers, you think of freshly baked cookies, pinched cheeks, and sloppy kisses. For Harvey, unfortunately, that was not the case. Something's up with Grandma. Harvey trundled down the empty lane behind his house, dragging his feet as he went. He kicked at empty cans and cartons that littered the ground. He was not happy. A weekend of fun and friends was snatched away from him in seconds. His mum had called him downstairs and said that his grandma wasn't feeling well. Harvey awed sadly and patted his mum's arm. As he turned to go back up to his computer game, however, his mum grabbed him by the shoulder. "We thought," she began, "that you could go keep her company for the evening." A tidal wave of protests and whines flooded through Harvey's gapped teeth, but nothing stuck. His mum waited patiently as the argument slowly drained out of him until he finally stopped. "Right, your night bag is by the door. She has a bit of a stomachache, so just get her what she needs. Perfect. Love you." She planted a big kiss on his forehead like a stamp and shipped him off to Grandma's house. Now, dear listener, Harvey thought he was in for a boring, granny chit-chat, stale biscuits-filled evening. However, I don't think he'd be able to stomach the truth that was waiting for him. As Harvey arrived, he knocked on the door. It swung open, revealing a dark, shadowy corridor. "Hello?" His greeting echoed off into the depths of the silent house. "Grandma?" He noticed a flicker of light dancing beneath the door at the far end of the corridor. The lounge, of course. She'll be watching some boring program about the history of toffees or something. Harvey dropped his bag and made his way towards the door. He left the front door open, as he didn't want to worry his grandma by slamming it before she knew he was there. He pushed the door and edged into the room. The light from the TV spilled across old chairs and furniture. The old TV buzzed, and the screen was slightly cracked. "Gran?" he said, feeling a little more apprehensive now. He spotted a bundle of blankets in an armchair. She must have fallen asleep. Harvey tiptoed across the faded carpet. The floorboards creaked in protest. He nudged the blankets and repeated, "Gran?" The blankets crumpled into a pile, but no grandmother. The front door suddenly slammed. Harvey's heart tried to leap out of his mouth. He flew through the lounge and back to the hallway. The door was now locked. Now, dear listener, if you are thinking of your sweet little grandma giving you chocolate and pinching your cheeks, I would switch this off now. This is unfortunately not the boring night Harvey was dreading. He's now feeling what real dread feels like. Harvey's heart felt like it was going to explode, but he needed to calm down. It was the wind, surely, that closed the door. His grandma is just tucked up in bed with a stomachache. He bit his lip and, he didn't know why he hadn't done this earlier, flicked on the landing light. Dazzled by the sudden brightness, he saw her, standing at the top of the stairs. Grandma. Her head lolled back like she was sleepwalking. He blinked, trying to take it in, but she'd vanished. He heaved at the locked door, but there was no way to open it. Grandma must have the key. The windows had been sealed up tight, and she was worried about burglars. Harvey never knew what burglars wanted with a lifetime of doilies and some unopened can of prunes, but there you go. The only way he was getting out was by going up. He swallowed hard. He slowly tiptoed up the creaking stairs. Finally, he arrived at the top. The landing was deserted. Harvey scanned every corner for clues to where his grandma had gone. He was too scared to whisper her name. This must be a joke. Something his mum cooked up to teach him a lesson for not tidying his room or not doing the dishes. As he shuffled slowly towards the master bedroom, his foot hit something on the carpet. Harvey jumped back like he'd triggered a landmine. When his heart had stopped bouncing around inside his chest, he looked down to see what it was. A cat's collar. But Grandma didn't have a cat. She hated any animals. It had been ripped in two, and the tag had been dented by what looked like a tooth. It read, Twinkle. Well, wherever this Twinkle was now, Harvey did not want to go. He kept moving. As he approached the bedroom door, a noise made him halt. The quiet drip, drip, drip of a tap. It was coming from the bathroom. Harvey begged his hands not to, but they were already reaching out for the handle. The door squeaked open. In the darkness, he could make out a half-full bath. He crept into the room and pulled the cord for the light. The light buzzed into life. Fur floated on the surface of the water like little hairy boats. As Harvey looked around, he noticed fur everywhere, stuck to the walls and the ceiling. Maybe Grandma had offered to give the neighbor's cat a trim. A floorboard creaked just behind him. He slowly glanced up and spotted the reflection of a figure looming over him in the doorway. He spun around. Grandma's arms were outstretched, reaching for him. Not for the normal musty hug, but something much more menacing. For a second, they both stood like statues. Then, with a howl, Grandma lurched forwards. Harvey ducked, taking a whiff of her overpowering floral perfume, and tugged at the light cord. They were plunged into darkness. Harvey rolled and kicked out hard. There was a grunt and a splash. If she was sleepwalking, she would be awake now. Harvey turned on his heel and leapt into the bedroom door, knocking it open. Skidding into the room onto his knees, he turned and shut the door hard. He pulled the wardrobe with all his might, making it topple over, blocking the door. He finally took a breath. A loud bang sounded from the other side. Harvey scuttled to the corner of the room. Another bang. Part of the door buckled and splintered. Harvey grabbed the bedside lamp and flung it out the window. If the windows wouldn't open willingly, he'd have to force them. Bang! The door hinges rattled. He retrieved the lamp and threw it again. The bulb shattered. Bang! The wardrobe shook from the tremendous force. Harvey threw himself against the window. He'd rather fall than face whatever was on the other side of that door. Bang! 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 Harvey saw the shadow of his grandma in the reflection of the window. Her body seemed to unzip from her belly button. Her head flopped down to the carpet. Her massive mouth now gaped open. Harvey slowly turned and stared deep down into the jaws of the monster he called Grandma. Something's up with Grandma's guts. Something's up with Grandma's guts. Something's up with Grandma's guts. They've gone completely wild. Something's up with Grandma's guts. Something's up with Grandma's guts. Something's up with Grandma's guts. She wants to eat a child. She doesn't want biscuits on nuts. She wants that kid right in her guts. Something's up with Grandma's guts. Something's up with Grandma's guts. Something's up with Grandma's guts. She wants to eat a child, and that could be you.